Is going on, Phil Rotors? I'm Joshua Thomas, and I'm here to talk about some more Final Fantasy VII because I haven't talked about it in too long, and I've missed talking about it. I've missed getting comments from you guys, and part of the reason is because I've been editing a video about the order in which you should play the Final Fantasy VII franchise games. It took me longer to edit than I expected, and I hope it turns out really good. I hope you guys enjoy it. That's coming out this Saturday. But I wanted to talk about something that I felt like I could talk about rather quickly in maybe just a short stream. So, of course, as you saw in the title and as you see here, this video is all about what happens if Zack survives. And at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think, it's left open to interpretation. People are always going to interpret it, but I interpret it as Zack has survived. Either defeating the Whispers or the Whispers themselves have changed destiny. And this is going to have huge implications for everything going forward in Rebirth. What we're seeing here is the battle in which he survives, and I don't think this is anything particularly new. A few of the things I'm going to talk about, I know other creators talked about this stuff years ago, but I think I've got some theories that I don't believe have been talked about in other videos. But feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, and feel free to comment below what you think, or in the chat, what you think the implications are of Zack surviving. Now, one of the things I want to talk about, since it is coming up here soon, is the fact that we're seeing some inconsistencies here when it comes to this timeline. So we're seeing here this explosion of whispers that turns into this golden shower, this golden sparks, if you will, or auras, or little live streams. And then we see that it uncovers Midgar as it is. But it's these next scenes that I think are really interesting, and honestly, the first couple times I saw them, I was still just mesmerized by the ending in general, and wondering what the implications of Zack surviving could be. But when we get to these next scenes, where the people of Midgar are clearly cleaning up from some kind of disaster, what we assume to be the plate fall of Sector 7, here we are in an ambiguous location that we assume is either Sector 7 or Sector 6, but we've got people, picking up rubble. The buildings don't appear to be as demolished here, but it's this shot right here. This is one of the things. There's an inconsistency in the damage that has been done to the Sector 7 sign, but then when Marl looks up and we see the golden sparks raining down, we see that in fact we are looking at the Sector 7 plate. It's still standing, and we're in Sector 6. So my question to you is, does Zack surviving prevent the Sector 7 plate from falling? Also, and since we're getting to this too, I'll go into more details about it. We see Jesse's gloves here. A lot of people are theorizing or fantasizing that, oh man, we're going to get to see Jesse at the gold saucer. I feel differently about this, because here we're seeing Jesse's gloves on the table and Biggs right here. To me, that says that Jesse is still involved in Avalanche, and she's still in Midgar. Let me know what you think about that. If you think seeing her gloves there is an implication if we're in the Terrier verse, and so to speak. But, Zack sees the golden sparks raining down on Midgar, and then in those scenes, we also see the golden sparks, which suggests to me that this is all taking place in the Terrier verse, in the timeline in which Zack survives. I still can't believe that we're talking about this in terms of different breeds of dogs, but it's kind of funny. So, and then this just further corroborates, Zack walking towards Midgar. I put these shots in chronological order, so these are obviously the scenes for Rebirth, and then we cut back to the ending for Intermission, Yuffie's DLC. This is another one of those things where it's like, oh, people are theorizing that Zack is still dead in the live stream, and that the whiteness we see framing him when he enters the church is proof of that. But I don't know. To me, he's standing outside the church, and we see him outside the church. So the fact that he's outside the church and we see all the scenery around him, to me says, well, he's alive. And then he enters the church, and what we see here is simply a camera feature that we see elsewhere in Final Fantasy VII, where when you're inside of a dark room and you have outside light coming in, or you're starting to go out of a door, the outside is blindingly bright. Likewise, when you go from the outside in, the light is dark, and we see the camera or our TV screen adjust to the amount of light, whether going in or out. So now you're seeing the footage start over. It's going to be just on a loop. Basically, every single scene that we have of Zack. So, in a world where Zack Fair survives, does the plate fall? But also, does Zack join Avalanche? I'm not so sure that Zack would be the kind of person to join a terrorist group that has already bombed 2 reactors and caused the deaths and injuries of countless innocent people. Nevertheless, they could surprise us. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know if you think Zack would join Avalanche, still knowing what he knows about Shinra. But I do question whether he would be the kind of personality that would go from seemingly one evil, the Shinra Corporation, to what could possibly be just another evil. This very biased opposite view that is so biased in terms of Barrett that he's willing to sacrifice innocent lives just to get back at Shinra and to, well, save the planet overall. It's sacrificing a few to save the many in Barrett's eyes, but would Zack see it that way? And that makes me wonder if Zack prevents the plate fall, but also attacks Avalanche as well, which could also be why we see Biggs laying in the bed in the Sector 6 orphanage. No, I'm sorry, the Sector 5 orphanage. But, and here's a theory that I wonder if people have explored before. Once again, I haven't heard anyone talk about it before, but I could be wrong. And that is, what if the Whispers caused Zack to survive because Zack surviving was the best chance of getting history or fate back on course? So what I mean by this is the Whispers during the final battle with the Whisper Harbinger knew that they were at risk and that they were essentially losing this battle against Cloud and Party. So since the Whispers can transcend time, they go back in time to a section where they can adjust history, in this case allowing Zack to survive, thereby giving them a second chance at getting history or getting fate to go on its proper course, even without them existing. That's as big brain as I can get with it, and I can't begin to imagine the implications that would have woven in, that the directors of Final Fantasy VII, they've got some big brain stuff going on in this storyline. It's already a complex storyline, the OG is, and it just becomes more complex as we see it in Remake, and as we realize that we're either dealing with our party entering an alternate reality, or we're dealing with our party remaining in their reality, but this alternate reality where Zack survives is somehow going to collide or intertwine or merge somehow. So, once again, these are the scenes where I think, this is still the Terrierverse, so Zack surviving could be the reason that the plate doesn't fall and that Biggs and Jesse survive. So if the plate doesn't fall, but there is still some kind of attack and they have to defend the plate, maybe Zack gets there, just in the nick of time to prevent the Turks from activating the plate separation code, but that the others still get injured, because Biggs and Jesse are severely injured before Reno and Rude activate the plate separation. So if Zack goes there instead of Cloud, is that the turning point for this particular part of the story? And what implications does that have later on? We can go deep into theorizing about what a Cloud is like who has not essentially taken over sort of the persona of Zack. And I've always found it interesting. We do have evidence that Cloud is attempting to mimic Zack. And they say, the reason Cloud is acting the way he's acting is because he is being Zack. But at the same time, even Cloud in his current state that he's in Remake, and the state that he'll be in at the beginning of Rebirth, Zack would never act the way that Cloud acts. Zack is a happy-go-lucky guy, and Cloud is a very moody, very closed-off individual at the beginning of Remake. So to say that he mimics Zack isn't entirely true. He attempts to, but he really doesn't get it. He's still like a mix between himself and Zack combined to become, the soldier first class that he is in Remake. Also interesting here, I'll back this up a little bit. When Zack enters the building, the church, looking for Aerith, we see someone standing in the flowers. Right, it's going to be, right here. Right there, it looks like maybe a female standing in the flowers. But then when we get the close-up right there, let me see if I can pause that. Yeah, those pants don't look like the pants of the person who's standing in the flowers. Let me see if I can back up to that. We'll see it here in a second. And maybe this is just because of the rendering of the scene. I really tried to scrutinize this, and it looks like the pants that this person in the orange shirt way back there standing in the flowers doesn't match up with the pants that we see in the next shot that I'll show you. I'm wondering, and let me know what you think of this. Do those pants look like the pants of a soldier? They're kind of baggy at the bottom. So I'll play this again. They look grayish right there in the distance. And then up close, maybe they're still kind of gray, but they almost look like they have a bluish tint, and they definitely look baggier. I'm running my mouse across it like you can see it, but are those the pants of possibly a soldier uniform? And the brown boots, they aren't exactly the same if we go on and let the video continue on. But also that person is standing in a different posture as well. This is just me theorizing too. It could end up being nothing. But when we go back here, we do see that the soldier's typical pants are way baggier, and the boots are a little different too. I think those are the same boots that Cloud wears in Remake as well. So it could just be me trying to overanalyze that section of the video, but there does seem to be emphasis put on whoever is standing in the flowers, or just the fact that it's not Aerith. So there's the speculation that Jesse could be at the Gold Saucer. I think it would be cool, but I don't know if it's going to happen. And when it comes to what is Zack going to do after this, that's tough. It's so difficult because Zack surviving, what does that mean for Jenova? What does that mean for the Sephiroth clones, the cloaked figures? What does that mean for President Shinra? Is he going to storm the building? Is Aerith already captured by, Song and the Turks? Is she already in Hojo's lab, and that's why Zack doesn't see her at the church? It's very difficult to fully understand because we don't know exactly what time Zack is going to the church, but we can assume that it is earlier than the Platefall. But those are, once again, it could branch off, the what ifs could branch off in 100 different directions. So many theories on what's going to happen to the Cloud who we're in control of. What's going to happen to the Cloud that Zack took to Midgar? Where is he during the church scene? Where has Zack taken him? Did Zack take him to Aerith's house? Where is a logical place for him to leave Cloud thinking that he is in safe hands? Or did he get up with the members of Avalanche or leave him at the Sector 7 train station? And then further on down the line, we know that Zack is going to play an important part in Rebirth because the devs have even said, hey, look, you should play Crisis Core Reunion, which is coming out probably in winter 2023. And that's heavy. Like the devs telling you to play CCR is pretty big. And you'll see in the video that I've got the order in which you should play the Final Fantasy games. I heavily urge people to play the OG before playing any version of Crisis Core, because it just, Crisis Core spoils the OG's biggest plot twists. But so we know that Zack is going to be in Rebirth, but in what capacity, we're not sure. Is he going to be sort of like a playable clone of Cloud? So is he going to kind of have the similar movesets, or is he going to have moves from Crisis Core? Is Crisis Core Reunion going to give him new movesets? I think they are. I think we already saw that in the footage of the trailer. I believe we saw new moves that he had. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, though. So there's tons of theories that, these timelines and Zack and Cloud and the others are going to converge sometime towards the end, possibly at the very end, where Cloud loses control of himself, and a lot of people are theorizing that Cloud is going to this time go so much deeper into this lack of control, because we've seen that Sephiroth really has this big pull on him, or at least Jenova does. It remains sort of vague whether it's Sephiroth pulling more of the strings or if it's just Jenova who has more power, and maybe due to the sort of time travel that Sephiroth has done. But there's a lot of people theorizing that, once again, this is just sort of like the wishful thinking or just the theory crafting, the what if, that Cloud could be the final boss. A Jenova-controlled Cloud. I don't think so. And if we do end up fighting Cloud, I think what will happen is it's going to be similar to the Rufus fight in Remake, where it's perhaps a one-on-one battle. So imagine what it would be like if Tifa were the one who had to fight Cloud, and she had to fight him by herself. That would be a very extremely impactful and emotional journey right there, especially at the end of the second chapter, where most likely it's going to end in tragedy. But is this a section where Zack could possibly come in and stop Cloud? Maybe he stops Cloud sooner. Maybe he stops Cloud after it's too late. I honestly hope, I understand that Cloud has the potential to lose control of himself. I really hope that he doesn't lose control of himself that bad, especially at one key moment, that moment in the Forgotten City. There's also theorists that are stating that Cloud's going to be the one to, poke some people with a sword instead of Sephiroth. I hope that doesn't happen, but that's just because I really care for Cloud as a character. So that's just my wishful thinking right there. And it remains to be seen. So it's tough to see what kind of person Cloud is going to be with Zack still alive, and I think that's going to be interesting to get a handle on. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Thank you to everyone who joined me. Feel free to watch this video and leave a comment, and look forward to more video game videos, and especially Final Fantasy VII theory videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll check you guys next time.